In the green room, and what a special day it is, Marc Cohn joining us. It's nice to meet you. My first time actually getting a chance to hang out with you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You know, Marc, I saw you on CNN. I watched all the newscasts the night you were shot. I followed very closely the recovery, the amazing news that it was within a centimeter of that. And I still want to hear you tell the story. Do you find that that's odd that your fans and people around you still want to retell it? Does it feel a little like the Indians sitting around and retelling the tale?
Yeah, it's often healing for me to tell it, sometimes a little anxiety-provoking too, so we'll see which one it is this time. No, I understand that there's a curiosity, because even for me, I don't even know how to process it, and it happened to me. The fact that it happened, you know, why was I in that wrong place at the wrong time? What was there about it that I was supposed to learn, because I didn't even lose consciousness, and yet it was so traumatic in some way. But you want me to retell the narrative of what happened?
If you don't mind,
No,
because there are a few people who've never heard you tell it, and it's an extraordinary story.
Well, we were just coming back from a concert in Denver, a place I had felt pretty safe in. I'd lived in New York for 25 years and never even seen a gun except on the side of a cop. And I guess it was about 11 or 11:30 at night. We were heading back to the hotel, and I noticed somebody running very quickly about 100 yards off in the distance to the left of our van, but in a very sort of fearful way. I sensed something unsettled in the area we were going in. And I just said to nobody in particular, I wonder who that guy's running from. And literally about 5 seconds later, a figure appeared in front of our van out of the shadows. Another second later, I processed nothing about his face, but I saw the gun. And I yelled to everybody to duck, and everyone did, I suppose. I definitely did. And I suppose as I was ducking, I heard the shot, and Shane, who was sitting in back of me, I think said to me, grab the wheel, you know, thinking that something might be wrong with the driver. Because obviously if this was a carjacking, that's who they were going for. And it came right through the windshield on the driver's side. So I grabbed the wheel, felt that the driving was a little erratic, but Tom, the tour manager and driver, seemed to be okay. And then it all kind of goes into hyper speed for me. I don't remember much detail except that within seconds I knew it wasn't Tom that had been shot, but it was me. I sensed blood on my face. And I saw the look in Shane's eyes, which told me that, you know, I said, what's going on? What's going on? You know, I reached up and there was blood. And he said, you're okay, you're okay. But I could tell by the look on his face that I wasn't okay. And they pulled me over to the side of the curb. There were cops there right away. And I wanted Shane to come with me. They put me in the back of an ambulance and nobody could come with me, which was sort of terrifying for me because I knew I probably had a bullet somewhere. And I kept saying, what's happening? What's happening? And, you know, don't let me die. I have kids at home. That's all I remember saying that over and over. And by the time we got to the emergency room, there was some lovely, lovely people there who answered all my questions with, just keep talking. Just keep talking.
You know, you can't even see where the bullet went in.
Yeah, it went in right here. There's a little crease that you see more on some days than others, depending on how well I slept. But there's a crease where a bullet went in. And for me, the most difficult part of this whole thing was getting into the hospital and the hour and a half that it took to do all the tests, the CAT scans, the x-rays, while nobody could tell me anything. You know, so every passing second, while I was still talking with everyone, I thought, is this the last thing I'm going to say? Because nobody can tell me what this is. And then they said, they came back in after an hour and a half, and they said, listen, man, you're the luckiest unlucky bastard we've ever. You've got a bullet in your head. It missed your eye by that much. It fractured your skull, but stopped right short of it. They think there's a little fracture, but it didn't go in. And there was just a little bit of soft tissue that was big enough to hold that bullet. And there it sat, and they took it out under local anesthesia. Didn't really start hurting until about an hour or two later when I could process what had happened a little bit. And, you know, that's pretty much that night.
In medical history, are there any other cases of people being shot right there in the head
I
and
don't-
surviving it? Did they talk to you about that?
All I remember is hearing some interviews they did with EMT workers who said, I've never been called to the scene of a place where somebody had been shot in the head and met someone living.
Wow.
You know what I thought at the time was, how were you married to Elizabeth at the time?
I was.
From
I
ABC
was.
News. How weird it must have been for her to have to. Did she have to report it in any
She-
way, shape, or form?
She didn't. No, she didn't. I mean, she came right out to Denver. The oddest part of this, now that you bring it up, that most people don't know, this was the same night Peter Jennings died. The same exact night. So she got 2 phone calls in the same night, one about me and one about her colleague. And, you know, I don't know. We've never even really talked about the enormity of the whole thing for her. But she didn't luckily have to report on it. I don't think she could have, yeah.
I'm so struck by how joyful and meaningful all these songs are without ever a sense of the anger or the disappointment of the legal system or just the furor over someone doing something so unfair to you.
Oh, because, you know, I think the big difference for me, which hadn't even occurred to me, the first thing that somebody said to me afterwards was it someone you knew? Was it a fan? Was it someone, were you targeted? You see, for me, that's the big difference.
Oh.
If I'd been targeted, I would have had, I think, some other feelings, obviously. But this just felt like just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. In the end, the justice system did fine. I mean, you know, he's in jail, and he will be for a long time, hopefully getting his life and his head and his heart together. You know, he was high, I think, on crystal meth or something. And no, anger is not one of the prevalent feelings I came away with. It was mostly gratitude and some fear. You know, we all walk around in this protective bubble that's an illusion anyway, but it's very useful to walk around thinking, I'm okay. I'm going to get home, it's going to be like every other night. My kids will be there, my wife will be there, TV is going to be on, we'll eat some soup. And, you know, when you can't really believe that fully anymore, that does something to you.
So the line that your schoolmate from years ago wrote to you, life is curious to see what you do with the gift of being left alive. I cried when I heard you say that. It's the most profound line I've ever heard.
It is.
But, you know, other people who survive, you know, near-death experiences say, you know, sometimes I'm right back in the groove of being a bastard. I
Absolutely.
forget.
Yeah.
You are.
I see
This
that.
doesn't happen.
Can't you tell?
Oh, we're going to talk about you after you leave. Wow.
Not today.
That guy didn't learn anything. No, I say even in that same song, you know, what do I say about bitch and moan? You know, will you live every moment like it just might be your last, or will you still just bitch and moan? And I was well aware, even a few weeks after this happened, that, you know, life sort of resumes in a way. There is still the day-to-day stuff of life that you have to take care of and you have to deal with, especially, you know, with kids. And in a way, that's a blessing. You know, I wouldn't want to keep. I wouldn't want to not live my day-to-day life like that, but I don't think human beings are wired to fully appreciate, even after something like this happens, the gift that it really is to be here.
And I think anyone watching this right now can relate to the fact that it's usually the most traumatic and difficult things in one person's life that lead to the biggest growth.
Yeah.
And in your case, some of the best music
Well, thank
you've written in a long time.
I feel really proud of this record. It feels very honest to me, and it feels like it's coming from the same place that my earliest songs came from, which had nothing to do with craft, had nothing to do with this is my profession, only had to do with the fact that two things really. I connected immediately as a small kid to music and wanted to be able to make music like the music I loved. But I also had things I just had to say, and the way that I said them was through writing lyrics and putting them to music.
Marc Cohn, an honor, a pleasure.
Thank you.
Blessings
It's
to
great
you.
be here.
Thanks for doing
Thanks
that.
very
Thanks a
much.
lot, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you.